Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. I promise you, and I always keep my promises, that when we return we would have as our guest Malia Cohn, who is the chairman of the Board of Equalization and a candidate for the controller of the state of California. Malia, welcome to All About Community.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I want to say hello to all your viewers. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Well, you can tell she's a real outstanding person who has a real history that I want you to get a better understanding of. Now, you attended Fisk.
I did.
First of all, you attended public schools right here in the Bay Area, right?
Did. I grew up right here in San Francisco. I attended Lowell High School and finished there, and then went to Fisk University, which is, an HBCU in Nashville, Tennessee.
And a great university.
One of the best.
It is. Now, how did you get involved in politics?
It actually is a really interesting story. It started back when I was 8 years old.
8 years old.
My third grade teacher, Miss Nicolosi, she took us on a tour of San Francisco City Hall, and I know you know the ins and outs of San Francisco City Hall. It's a beautiful building.
It's a beautiful place.
It's a magical place. And as I was a kid, and I just said, oh, one day I want to grow up and I want to work here. And so sticking with that notion, in high school I did a few informational interviews of members of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and that's when it struck me that this is my calling, this is the kind of work that I want to do.
And high school was at which one of the great high schools in San Francisco?
I went to Lowell High School.
Lowell! Yeah. A lot of people that are good people came out of Lowell.
Yeah.
Good. And then from there on to Fisk University.
That's right.
And you majored in what?
I majored in political science with a concentration in public administration.
And then you went on to further your education at Carnegie?
Yes, that's right. So I earned a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon University, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Now, and then you came back to San Francisco and said, I am ready to take on the world.
Yeah, basically. That's it. That's right. When I left, so I worked 8 years. I graduated from Fisk. I worked 8 years.
8 years doing what?
I worked for Gavin Newsom's mayoral campaign. I worked in the Newsom administration. I worked for a San Mateo County supervisor. I worked on different ballot initiatives. So I still worked in the nonprofit and the public sector space. And then I said, okay, it's time for me to go get that advanced degree. I had actually put it off and had procrastinated on going back. And I just said, it's time for me to go get that degree. And I knew that I was going to be running for office in 2010. So I finished.
How did you know that?
Because the election cycles are published. They're every 4 years.
And you decided
our mutual friend Sophie Maxwell was terming out, so it was an open seat. I mean, it was planning. It's long-term planning.
And if I recall correctly, you won on the first time you run, didn't you?
We did. We put a phenomenal campaign together. Remember, if you might recall, there were 21 other candidates in the race. This was an open seat, and an open seat means that anybody can run. There is no incumbent, and it was like a cattle call. Everybody showed up. Everyone showed up. There were a total of 22 candidates in this race, and so we just really ran a very competitive race. It was difficult. It was my first time running for office. I'd never been on a commission. I'd never been appointed to a political appointment, and I obviously never had run for office. And
you rose to, if I remember correctly, on the Board of Supervisors of San Francisco. You became high up in leadership, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I was able to be elected by my peers to serve as president of that body.
The president of the Board of Supervisors of San Francisco. Now, you can't get any better than that.
Well,
that's such a young age. And that's important. Now, you are currently the chairperson of a Board of Equalization.
That's right.
And what does a Board of Equalization do?
Bob, I know you're being a gracious host, because I know you know the answer. But for your viewers that don't know, the Board of Equalization is an important function in state government. It's an $85 billion property tax system, and what we do is we set the rules, and we give guidance to assessors on how they assess property. Now, when we're talking about property, we mean the physical property, like the business we're in. We also mean property like the vats that wine ferments in. These are all different elements of what is called property. And so they all have a different value, and there's a different formula ascribed to figuring out that value.
And you're one of the, you are the agency that sets that value for PG&E, is that right?
That's right. As a matter of fact,
I used to work for PG&E.
Yes. So PG&E is a perfect example. They own huge acres and acres of land across the entire state of California.
Right.
And that land is property. It needs to be assessed, but we want to be sure that it's assessed fairly. So the land that you have in Placer County, the land that you have in Merced, the land that you have in Alameda County is all fairly assessed. And so we make sure that it's equitable, or we make it equal, hence the word equalization. And so we re-regulate the property value for utilities such as PG&E.
Yeah. PG&E, Edison.
Sempra, Edison, all across the entire state, as well as the railroads.
Now, I wanted to get into that background just for a minute, which you've done an outstanding job on explaining, so that people can better understand why you are, in my opinion, and I'm not supposed to say this, I'll say it anyway, why you are the best candidate for the controller of the state of California.
So the controller is also an important part. It's a constitutional office, which means that the duties and functions are spelled out in the state constitution. The controller, she sits on 78 different boards and commissions.
And you notice that you said she sits. And that is so important. We're going to have to go to break, so don't touch that remote. Just put it down. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host. And my guest is Malia Cohn, who is a candidate for the state controller, which she is going to further explain in a minute as to what those functions and duties are.
Thank you.
We will be right back.